Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ruben, who is presenting the paper co-authored with the different authors, as you see here. The paper is about the incorporation of practice-based approach into engineering education at master level, the analysis of the needs of teaching staff at Cape Peninsula University of Technology within the PISA 3 project. Okay, the outline of my presentation will be the introduction, definition of practice-based approach, empirical study designs, results, findings, conclusions, and acknowledgements. An organization growth and development and the performance is facilitated through the synergy between theory and its practice. But fresh graduates are, however, often mismatched between their skills and what the work task environment requires. So to bridge this gap between the theory and the practice in engineering education at master level in South Africa, the Erasmus project has come so that they provide the support which is necessary to achieve the loopholes, the shortfalls under which we under this matter which is under discussion. So the aim of this paper is to define the practice-based approach underpinning empirical study of needs of teaching staff for incorporation of practice-based approach into engineering education at master level. So the research employs the two methods, which is the theoretical methods, which includes analysis of scientific literature and the theoretical modeling. Also, the empirical methods were based on exploratory case studies that are set to explore any phenomenon in the data which serves as a point of interest in the research of the researcher. Practice-based approach is an overall concept that refers to the opportunities provided to university students to integrate knowledge of theory and the practice as part of the degree program. So the concept of practice-based comprises the use of variety of terms as practice-based education, practice-based teaching, practice-based learning, work-based learning. But in this paper, we are going to use the practice-based approach. That's the terminology which should be coming very often. So this research is based on the unity of problem based on learning, industry-based tasks or project in the curriculum, experience in the practice setting, and the pedagogy practice. As I said, the most used keyword which I'm going to use here will be the practice-based approach, which with different components which includes industry-based tasks, pedagogic practices, problem-oriented training, and the experience in a practice setting. The procedural aspect of the practice-based approach includes before, during, and after the student practice-based experience. The emphasis is also placed on cyclical nature of the education process. The advantage of comparative and cyclical analysis are the social nature of educational processes and the movement of the process from external to internal. Also, the practical-based learning is implemented in various forms. And these forms may be games, hybrid activities, distance learning, classroom, etc. Along with the formal education, practical orientation is realized on the form of non-formal levels of the educational system. If you look at the figure which is provided here, you look at the different phases during the process of the procedure, which includes the teaching phase, peer learning, and learning activity itself. The empirical study design for this research were guided by a main question, which was worded as follows: what are the needs of teaching staff for the incorporation of the practice-based approach in the master's level of engineering education in South Africa? So the purpose of the research was to analyze these needs via a focus group interview underpinning the question. The qualitative study allows, which was used, it allows for the consideration of few cases. The cases, however, are not of interest, rather the conclusions and the interfaces we drew from the respondents. The information of sampling is used in the focus is to clarify the deeper causes behind the topic of review. So in this study, we used 5 participants who were the 2 professors from CPUT, a PhD holder from CPUT, a professor from Hochschule Wismar, and a PhD holder from the Center for Education and Innovation Research in the TVO. So the main findings for this for the study, the respondent number 1 highlighted that the importance of practice-based learning in engineering education in South Africa. But due to education reform at higher education, the practical period has been shortened from 1 year now to half. And in some institutions, there's nothing happening. Also, the respondent number 2 highlighted that there was a lack of industry experience in many universities was emphasized. In many cases, lecturers with a strong research orientation are employed, but it then becomes difficult to go back into the industry to update the practical experience. It's very difficult. So there's no such kind of arrangement which is there to allow to the industry. So that's the big problem of the academic staff to get updated with the industry. So the third respondent was of the opinion that many lecturers are qualified with the degree in the discipline only, but in South Africa, a pedagogic degree is not mandatory for starting an academic career. As long as you are strong in research or you are strong in one subject which they are looking for, they just employ you. Maybe they be kind of internal staff development arrangements, but it's not mandatory that you do a pedagogic degree. So the fourth respondent said that in South Africa, master's degree theses are generally led and supervised by university staff only. And some of those in university staff also don't have a strong industrial or experience in the industry. So these theses are elaborated on without active participation from the industry stakeholders. So we don't have supervisors from the industry. As ahead, it's done in.
We should come to the end.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Okay, it's okay. Let me conclude it here. Okay, it's not the way it's done as ahead in some European countries, whereby you co-supervise with the industry partners. Okay, in terms of findings, let me summarize here. So we conclude that the lecturers actually they lack industrial experience, also the pedagogical skills in the implementation of practice-based approach to engineering students of master level. Also in the conclusions, how can I conclude this one quicker? Okay. The novelty which was found there, which I have to emphasize on, is that that emphasis on the procedural aspect of the practice-based approach, which is put on a social nature, also the cyclical nature of the process practice-based approach. Let me go to what is lacking, what we have to do further with the further work could concentrate on analysis of method and the tools on tools effective for incorporation of practice-based approach into engineering education at master level. So that's what we have to focus on the future, because we see that there's need really of developing the academic staff who will be engaged into this PESA project, especially at master level. Okay, thank you. This is the end of the presentation.
Are there any questions from the auditorium?
Well, yes, maybe I have one question. You mentioned that the biggest problem is lack of industrial experience of teachers.
Yes, some yes.
Yes. What do you recommend? How to solve this issue? What to do about it? To change it for better?
Okay, maybe we'll be look at the curricula, how they can embed some kind of whereby the student will get also the touch with the industry, also the lecturer also getting involved also into those projects, getting in touch with the industry. That's my opinion. Also, maybe see whether possible how staff can also go in the industry. For some time, I heard in the past they used to do that, but these days they are no longer doing that. Maybe
how to do it?
Yeah?
How to do it? How to organize it?
I know one colleague of mine. He was sent. He didn't have a kind of experience in the industry. He was sent out for 6 months or 1 year in the industry, so he came with some kind of industrial experience. So
that is one way, and we have to follow what's possible in South Africa. We cannot compare it with Europe or with Germany. And there was a presentation in the session before about teacher training for South African universities and engineering. And the career is often in many countries the way they come from school, go to university, and then they teach at university. And often they are really missing this opportunity to get real work like experiences. And then you have to find really intelligent way how to integrate it. This, what you mentioned, could be one example, going for industry if the university allows it, or to integrate them in a lot of, that's why practical-based learning, in a lot of praxis-based projects, that they get in contact with the industry, get much more to know, and that is part of PISA 4, what we try to do. We do not have a solution now, but we look at this.
maybe the challenge will be the budget. For example, if for example one is go out for 6 months or one year, so how are we going to get the funding for replacement of the lecture? So maybe there are many challenges along that. Maybe my colleagues, I'm not sure.
One sentence. Okay. I guess it might be interesting for you, Norbert, and Anthony, and maybe also for you. One thing that has been already proven as very successful in the UK are knowledge transfer partnerships. Try to look into the content of this and the conditions. I suppose it should be transferable, also in the conditions of the South Africa.
Okay, we keep this knowledge transfer
partnerships
in mind.